no, I don't know how to phrase it.
Cohesion. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Is
maybe
that
it's
what worries you?
cohesion.
I think it's a
No, it's yeah.
prioritization of goals within the DAO.
Okay, what kind of goals we have right now and how it's best that we prioritize them. I've shared mine and the large part of what I'm working on. Dean shared also his. What are your thoughts as DAO members, and as community members? Where do you think we should head at?
I mean, I lean on, excuse me, I lean in the same way, like kind of leaning into these like kind of innovative aspects that we were testing out, especially with the grape services, which I tried helping Dim out as well. Um, I think for me, it was just kind of understanding more in line with the vision was, and how we can achieve that. It was always with understanding the verification and or just the DAO tools, and I guess just being at the forefront of that and continuously doing that.
Yeah, and that's what I meant by loose collective. For me right now, it sounds as if everyone is basically on their own to figure out how to improve things, and there is no clear path for everyone, like one direction where we say, okay, we focus on this, possibly invest our resources in getting to point A, B, C. And like this is also something for me that is important for like something like a business plan. If you make a business plan, you need to you can't just say, okay, everyone does their best and hopefully it works. We need to have those clear goals set and and leverage what we have in our community in order to reach those goals. And I'm not talking about abstract goals like decentralization. I'm talking like getting X amount of partner servers that pay us X Y amount of Grape or USDC or whatever. So I think that's the difference in what we're talking about, and that's why I said like it's more of a loose collective.
Hey guys, I want to chime in on here, and I find myself agreeing with all of you. Like I see the perspective CryptoPause and Dynat are bringing. I see the perspective that Archimedes and Dim and Taki Soul are bringing. Um, I have a role that I take in working on different parts of Grape. For example, the Dean's List community. There, we're able to function really well. We're really focused. Um, I would point out that the five people who are talking about this are the DAO board. Like the most, um, to my view, dislocation exists between the five of you, and I think that that's not because you guys aren't good. I think that, as I've said before, the DAO board model is flawed, and I think it's increasingly becoming visible in the fact that the five people who are part of this board are on opposite ends of thought, and then so that's one thing I wanted to point out, that I I think that this is another evidence that the DAO board model is broken. Um, Separately, I do want to point out to something you mentioned, CryptoPause, about GAN. Again, uh, other than Legend, and really it is Legend because Archimedes really hasn't been involved in GAN for quite some time. Other than Legend, no one up here really has any connection to GAN. And that's not because there's been a wall saying, hey, you can't be involved. There's been, no effort. And I don't believe any of you are active in the GAN server. What should we do? Should we pause? Should Legend and Billy and the group that works on GAN pause to wait when it's convenient for others to join in on them? Or should they have to give update reports to people who are not part of it? I think we need to be comfortable in the fact that as a decentralized community. The thing that does bind us is the fact that we have these resources together, and we want to empower people to go off and do things. And, you know, yeah, there should be a structure where we're able to discuss and shift resources with all of that intelligence. But I think, you know, one, we need to be very comfortable with people going off and doing their own thing. And if we want to be involved in that thing, it's on us to do it. And I don't think I'm unfair in saying that, other than Legend, no one on the stage or in the audience is really attached to GAN. And I think that this dislocation between you know, ideas on certain things is more of a proponent of a poor structure in DAO board rather than anything. You know, you guys are amazing. Everybody contributes. So that's one viewpoint I wanted to share. And before I get off, I would really appreciate some time today to kind of go over level setting, kind of what we see and what we, you know, I think there's an opportunity for me to learn from a few people in the community. You know, I'm hopeful that Riptide will join us later. I see Sergeant Savage is here. You know, both of them mentioned some things about other DAO tools. So I think it's really holistic. It's important for us to be looking at the same things, being very fact-based. You know, all the information I'll share is publicly accessible, but I do want that opportunity to kind of go through an exercise with everybody here, if you guys would permit me to do that. Thank you.
I think it would be great to do that, to bridge some of the knowledge gaps that are here and kind of align ourselves. So, Dynite, as our moderator, you tell us where we can kind of place that.
Yeah, I mean, I would have ideally wanted to start that at the beginning to give us a good foundation, but if we're hoping to wait for other people to hopefully join, I mean, either way, they can listen in on it later. So, Dean, we'll probably start that right after our brief updates so we can have some foundation to build off of, because it seems like that would key into every or majority of the conversations we have.
Yeah, that works for me. And really, you know, the point is that we're all able to see things the same way. And I don't want, like, a lot of our discussions go into very deep and difficult stuff, and that's great. I'm so proud that we do that. But recently, with the German chat, and then, you know, Riptide and Sergeant Savage, there was a moment where I realized, okay, we're not even looking at the same stuff. So I want to make sure that we can all level set. Like, you know, one of the exercises, and I implore all of you while I'm saying this to start thinking about it and maybe writing it in live chat. List what you think the 5 DAOs that are successful or big or important in Solana are. Like, I think that that's a good place to start from. But I have a structured exercise we can go through once we're ready. I see that, you know, everybody that I would want to be here is here. So ready when you guys are.
Okay, let's go ahead and start then with the new prospects and removals. Tim?
Yeah, Avid Learner, do you want to come up, or? Avid has shared some removals, and Barushka as a prospect. Yeah, sure. So let's invite him up. Hello.
Hello everyone, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so our prospects for today is Ruska. He has introduced himself in the DAO Prospects channel. I see he has been a designer for Grape since August of last year. Many people involved with the DAO, I think, know him better. And regarding removals, we have Madivan and Grape. So with Grape has not been involved with the DAO, although he comes on Discord once in a while, like in the Chinese chat. But like he has no activity in the DAO, even on what do they call it, on Discourse. While Madiban has not been seen on Discord since April 19th. But they both have their gorilla role intact. I think that's it.
I agree with Barushka joining. I think she's been a valuable asset in terms of designer and has some very interesting views and been very proactive and active in general in supporting a lot of successful community initiatives, especially with designs and a lot of the creative content that's been produced over the last several months.
Yep.
Sorry, I called Baruska email. Thank you, Bandak.
That's okay. It's okay. No, you wouldn't know if you didn't know.
And for removals, are there any objections?
Not for me, no.
Not for me either. Okay, looks like we'll go ahead and proceed then. If there are no other comments with accepting Bariska to shoe in into the Grape DAO and then the removal of Grape and Matavan. Let's go ahead and move on to the metrics.
Yep, I can share the membership metrics. Maybe Archimedes, you can do the same with realms and governance.
I'll follow up with those.
Okay.
I need to. I'm having an issue with connecting and getting them, but I'll get them by the end of the call, logically.
Sure. For June, there hasn't been any big difference or noteworthy change. Yep, a bit up on the last week, a bit down this week. Nothing too major. Pretty good, I think, for given the conditions. And that's it.
Yep. And for the last update, it was gonna come from proposal or at least emissions that Dim, Taki, and I worked on earlier this week. It was our attempt, at least from something to build on, in a way, and to get emissions to specifically in this area was just DAO centric. The goal was to get emissions and reward voting power to those individuals that have continuously been here and been putting in the work to help Grape function.
Basically, to people that are in this call, most
Yep.
of the people in this call. Yeah.
Yep. There was one distinction with this one for specifically the May emissions. If you fit in the criteria one, which was you had a DAO board or core role, you would have the option to have a 50-50 split between Grape and USDC. Other than that, we tried our best to reward all those individuals that are continuously here on calls like this with voting power within the Grape. And that's the final update on that, unless there are any questions.
If there aren't, I think we're at a point where we can push this on chain.
Yep, that would be the goal for after this.
We just need to figure out some of the technicalities, I guess, on such as the streaming platform that we will use, what we will use as the address for the smart contract and so forth. But we can talk about it later.
Yeah, and the vote for metric 3 has finished. I will input those top 10 names into the Google Sheet as well. Okay.
Hey, can I ask a question real fast about the plan? Can somebody conceivably receive an emission now and not be a Grape member?
If that's the case, I think it would be wise not to do an emission. Are
That's
you
the
referring to a
person.
specific case?
No, I haven't checked, but we've defined member now as somebody who has the grapes staked in realms. So I just want to make sure that this emission plan, instead of us, like, if it's not an issue today, but just make sure there's language in your proposal that states, as we already have updated our membership based on, what was this, 2 months ago or something, it
Mhm.
also qualifies for this. That's where I am philosophically,
Mhm.
and I want to be very clear. If that is not part of this proposal, I will vote no on any proposal if that's not part of it, because then I don't quite understand what our membership is.
In that case, how would we check the would we need to check anything on realms or?
No, what you guys could do is just put it up there, and then when Billy's doing the organization of things, because I don't think we're in the position where
That's
anybody
what
else
I'm.
but Billy can do it.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
will filter out. Hey, if I didn't send them a membership emission on June 1st, they don't qualify.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely something we'll make clear at the top, that one of the basic requirements was that to receive these emissions was that your grape was staked in governance for over a month, or whatever, however we defined it, for sure.
Yeah, that you're a member. That's it, because that is part of the membership benefit.
Yep.
That's
Okay,
right.
thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely make that as clear as possible. Okay, I guess we can just proceed now. Sorry, Dean, if you want to come and help bridge the knowledge gap.
Yeah, thank you. So this really was inspired by the conversation that was happening in the German chat. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. And what was inspiring about that moment for me is I realized how different large portions of our community see things, because it wasn't only, one or two people. There were multiple people, and not many people were course correcting. So I'm clearly looking at different metrics and things that I define as successful than other people. And then Riptide also brought up 3 specific projects. He brought up Matrica, Soluminati, and Tribeca. And hearing those 3 as what he considered essential DAO tools, those 3 specifically, I realized that I must be in a completely different planet. So I think it's really important to start, understanding, okay, what is Sol Luminati doing? Or how do we define a successful DAO? What is a DAO? I just want to get level set there, because I think it's going to be such a good learning experience for all of us. So, one of the first things I think we need to do is, if we had to list 5 or 10 DAOs or something, like, what are the 5, 10 DAOs that are important or large or influential on Solana? And I'll go first. I'll start writing them. I think it's clearly Grape. Obviously, I'm biased. I think it's Mango. Then after that, I'll go with UXD based off of treasury size. I think that's a really good one. Grape, Mango, Social Sale. I think those are all great. Let me see who else I would. But everybody, please go through this exercise. And I specifically, I'm really hopeful that Riptide and Sergeant Savage, who pointed out that we're behind. I really want your guys' opinion on what are which are the DAOs, or whether which are the DAOs you're looking at, so I can we can be aligned on what we're looking at. So Grape, Mango, UXD.
Wolf DAO, I think, is another one.
Yeah, I think I would put Wolf there, just based on activity and membership size. And let me see. I think Monkey DAO is going to be the other one I'm going to put, but let me think about it for a bit. And really, everybody, please be going through this exercise. You know, maybe Orca. Yeah, you know what? I'll put Socian as well. So those are my 5. I think let's give some time for everybody to put things. And then, as always, you know, I would love it if people want to share any place that they're looking for metrics. For me, DeepDAO is one of the main places I'll look for metrics. If there's one that I don't know of, you know, please share it. And yeah, let's just give everybody some time to share their ideas.
Isn't it important here to just kind of make the distinction between different types of DAOs, because it's a bit like comparing apples to oranges.
Now I think that puts things into complication. I just want to
Okay.
hear what people consider the 5 important DAOs. You know,
Important.
I
Okay.
wouldn't, or not important, underprivileged, influential, something to aspire to, leading the
Okay.
way, successful, good. You know, if just choose the 5 that you're like, those guys doing it well, very good. You know,
Mhm.
but if we're going to talk about how, you know, where Grape is in the DAO tooling space, I mean, I'm CryptoPause. Do you like what I'm doing now? Do you like this exercise?
Of course, I appreciate it. I'm thinking of mine,
I
actually.
think that this is very important. Grape, Mango, Monkey DAO, Famous Fox, interesting one. And I'm going to come back to this. Hanko, now that you mentioned Famous Fox, can you tell me where they do their voting or their treasury? Because that I'm not aware of. Personally, I'm a huge fan of the Famous Foxes. I'm very glad you brought them up, Hanko. I'm not aware of where they might.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, I would have said defense if I knew where they vote.
Yeah, I kind of jumped the gun on that a little bit. I think now I'm looking at their website. I mean, obviously, I love their tooling and stuff, but I never thought to think about where they do their voting. So I'm looking at that right now.
Yeah, and they might not even do voting, right? Like the
Mhm.
definition of DAO, as Dim was going towards, is it's quite broad, and you know that's why I think we as a group need to say, okay, what are the things that matter to us? You know, Deep DAO I think is a good place, even though they're wrong about a lot of stuff. Interesting. CryptoPause is a pothead. Likes pothead.
Serum's a good one that I like to look at, but I'm not entirely sure about their protocols and processes. Like I know they have a considerable treasury, and I know they have a forum that they utilize for being able to discuss topics, but I'm not entirely certain if they have things on chain, like in realms or something like that, you know, or squads.
They use realms. They use realms. They're on realms. We know this 100%. They're on realms.
Right. I guess what I'm saying is I haven't seen them, I guess, push as many proposals forward for things
They
that I
even
would.
they even have active proposals. I think so I just put a screenshot of all the recent proposals from them that Deep DAO has. You know, maybe it's been 3 weeks since one, but I will point out that the highest number of voters you see in a proposal was 7.
Right.
Yeah. You know, so I don't know if that's a metric that matters, right? Like how many people are actually voting on things. Let me see if I can grab from Deep DAO. And look, Deep DAO, you know, gets certain things wrong. I can tell you though that they don't get that kind of stuff wrong. For
Right.
us,
I guess that's what I was leaning on in terms of saying like DAO.
core team contributors. Yeah, Avid, from what I understand, Serum is kind of centralized in its decision making. Oh, with Soluminati Tribeca, they aren't operating as DAOs, but they are pushing their services. I don't know what to do with that. I feel like the goalposts just got moved before we even started talking about Tribeca. So, like, we need to talk about what we consider successful DAOs, or look at this a bit more. I mean, I think it's a little indicative. Because I would like to start focusing on Tribeca or Soluminati, because that's the area where I'm mostly perplexed. Like, I think the evidence, if somebody starts going into metrics of DAOs, you can see that the ones are primarily, you know, you're gonna see Mango a lot. Everybody but CryptoPod said Grape. Oh, he just put it in here because of the potential. That's fair. Thank you. So Mango, Grape are pretty common. I see Socian in a lot of these, or Monkey in a lot of these. I would like to point out every single one of those use realms. None of those use Tribeca. So I want to understand why Tribeca might be perceived as doing well, because from my purview, they're not. So I just want to know why we would say, you know what, Tribeca, that's something we need to look at. We've all listed our DAOs. None of the DAOs we listed are on Tribeca. Riptide, it might be easier if you come on stage, by the way. I'll invite you. I'll also invite Sergeant Savage. He had concurred and agreed with Riptide. So I just okay. Well, does anybody want to come to the defense of why, you know, Tribeca is something that is an example of success? Like, to my knowledge, the biggest, yeah.
I think from public perception, it might seem that their tools are being used more often.
Yeah, the tooling and the ideas.
Yeah, but again, like,
Not
are
the
you
DAO
guys saying
itself,
this
maybe.
by looking at it, or are you guys saying this as a public, like, so this is Saber, which is the biggest user of Tribeca. The last time they used it was April. I agree that the
Right.
public perception, by virtue of us having this conversation, the public perception is that. I 100% agree. And hey, you know, we have a researcher DAO that's really great in DeFi. I would question how great they are in DAO stuff. That's fine. That really isn't where the pull is. But I think you guys know that, at least I hope you understand, I spend a lot of time looking at this stuff and I spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff. So unless, I mean, can somebody give me an argument how Saber would not be the best possible example of how Tribeca is used?
Yeah, they logically should be, right? Maybe maybe they don't have that many decisions to make publicly. Maybe.
No one even listed Saber as one of the top 5. Not one person.
That's true.
Every single DAO we mentioned is specifically on one ecosystem, right? The nation of Ukraine was using it. Serum uses it, Mango uses it, Grape uses it, the Degen Apes use it, Monkey DAO uses it, Psy Finance, Ocean. I mean, Serum, I think it's very clear that Tribeca has lost to Realms. I'm going to not speak explicitly for 10 minutes so that somebody else can give an argument for Tribeca or where I might be unfair about this. Because I do want us to be level set on, at least let's agree that Grape is considered one of the best or biggest or whatever you want successful DAOs in Solana. That seems to be the perception. And the other ones that we're selecting are not on Tribeca, that the ecosystem of choice is Realms. I just want to see if we can at least agree there before. And we'll go into Matrica, we'll go into Soluminati, but I don't want to have this shifting floor where we're going to continue to repeat things. I definitely don't want to have this conversation again. What would be great is if a future person brings up, hey, Tribeca is really kicking ass, that all of you are now equipped to say, why are you saying that? Because they're not even using it. Like, and that's why I said that I think we're in completely different realms of understanding, because, in one understanding, it was that, hey, Tribeca is kicking ass. And in my understanding, it's that they've gotten their ass kicked. So I'm going to go silent. I'll come back in 3 minutes, but I'm going to be listening.
Maybe it depends on the argument people are making. So I guess you're taking that from the German chat, right? So TMNX said regarding to staking, we could have that set up with Tribeca half a year ago. So that might be true, but there are maybe other reasons why Tribeca wouldn't be the best solution. So it's basically a trade-off between, do we want to have staking that badly and switch over to Tribeca, or is REMS the better solution for us? And so I think it depends on the argument you want to make.
So just to recap, so the proposal would have been to move to Tribeca because of staking. That would have been the entirety of migrating an entire DAO on chain.
No. I was wondering why we're talking now about Tribeca, and the only thing I can see is the argument
Right.
made in the German chat.
It was
Got it.
brought up as tools that were being used that
Yeah.
are better than Grape tooling in discourse.
Got it.
I mean, I think something that was brought up, it definitely helps with educating the community, even ourselves, because now I'm better prepared to properly explain how to assess a DAO and its success. And I think that's something that everyone outside of our circle um, has a problem on how to properly value DAOs. And I think that's, falls on us, with starting with Dean's article. We still need to continue to educate the public on it what it actually means to be a successful uh, DAO, and a successful DAO that is going to provide services that we are looking forward.
Well, I don't know. If you take a landscape of DAO tooling and you look at Athens DAO as an example, um, Squads is a much more successful tool that I've seen us as Grape use. And a lot of the DAO tooling that exists is also looking at being compatible with realms, which is something that was a really really wonderful thing to see at the Athens DAO. You know, most of them are looking to be able to integrate or to be able to tap into realms in some way, shape, or form, which I find a huge plus for a DAO tool to actually leverage the DAO tool, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, it also depends whether you consider a DAO a successful one. If you say, well, are they really centralized or not? For me, for example, it's the I think there needs to be something like a roadmap, and if you can specify which tools are necessary in order for you to get decentralized, and because those tools aren't just there yet, you aren't that decentralized, I'd still consider you a DAO. So yeah, so basically, if you try your best and the tooling isn't there, and you don't or you can't really get this decentralized as you want because of the lack of tooling, then I'd still consider it a DAO.
Right. I mean, look, if I were to put this into objective metrics, I would say a DAO is the number of individuals that can propose and the number of individuals that are holding whatever it is that allows them to vote. How dispersed that is, how distributed that weight is, right? The fewer individuals that are capable of being able to control on-chain voting power or proposal power, I would say make it more centralized. And I guess if D is if this is a capital D in DAO, then that would be one of the key, at least two of the key metrics that you could look at straight off the bat. And Deep DAO has that stuff pretty clearly.
Anyway,
I have
guys,
no
I
idea.
I don't want to move the goalpost too much. Not I want to stay hyper focused on just there was a few things I wanted to get through. Sorry for interrupting you, Dimitri. So for this Tribeca discussion, like I'm listening, I'm seeing this stuff. For me, I think I look at the information, I do the mental math, and I'm not at a place where I'm thinking, oh wow, 90% they're succeeding, 10% realms is. I'm more of the 90% realms is succeeding, 10% Tribeca guys. I don't think it's even 50-50, but I don't need to hammer that home. We listed we all individually listed some DAOs. We then went and saw that Saber, which makes Tribeca, doesn't even use it for DAOing. If there are examples, Riptide, you just mentioned that people are using these things. If you can share the examples, otherwise it becomes one of those feelings rather than a fact. And I'm going to be brutal with hitting everybody with facts today. So let's continue on. Soluminati. I have no idea what they do. Can anybody tell me a DAO that we listed that works with Soluminati, or like why they're they were brought up as one of the 3 DAO tooling things we need to look at? Like at Athens DAO, I can tell you Matrica, Tribeca, and Soluminati were not mentioned once. I can tell you that with bring up. But can you guys teach me about Soluminati?
Nothing other than that it sounds like Illuminati.
Yeah, everybody don't run at once. And I want to point out that I'm being unfair to Riptide in the fact that he was the only one that went forward and brought up 3. It takes balls to talk, okay? And I admire Riptide, okay? It's unfair that he had the balls to list things where he's like, you know what? These are the guys we got to beat. And if anybody else had done them, that I would have done that to them too. So Riptide, I have nothing but love and admiration for you. I'm trying to learn right now. Marinade use Realms governance with Tribeca token lockups. Tribeca are integrating Cardinal. Oh, okay. So Marinade uses Realms. Awesome. Thank you. They're integrating the Cardinal and so on. Okay. I think we've gone over the Tribeca thing well enough. And I think by the virtue of the only person that might be talking about Soluminati now is going to probably be Riptide, we can skip over Soluminati. Let's talk about Matrica. Guys, if you had to choose, the 3 best clients of Matrica, who are they? I'll write who I think the 3 most important are, and I would love if you guys also listed who you think the 3 most important clients of Matrica are, because it would be unfair to do amount of servers. We're on more servers. It would be unfair to do verified wallets. We have over 100,000 more wallets than they do verified. So it would be unfair to use those statistics because we're already winning there. The public perception one should be about the clients then, right? So I'm going to write Monkey DAO, right? Because they use Matrica, Degen DAO, and DeGods. There you go. Thank you. Awesome. Does anybody else want to put what they think are there you go, fractals?
Just to play devil's advocate here, I think we can or we could use the metrics, because actually for me it's also very important how many of our servers or our partners are using the GAN token. If they don't use the GAN token, they obviously don't use Grape access as it should be used, or they effectively don't update their Discord. So it's not important enough for them to do it. So I think it's disputable to use the old numbers.
Totally understand. It's very unfair that we're the only ones that do on-chain payments and holdings. So like
It's a different service, right?
No, but it's not a different service. They could, if they were a DAO type entity, they could put things on chain and show it on chain. They've chosen not to. But we know for a fact that we have more verified wallets, which is a population size. Remnants, you went more than 3. Awesome. Remnants, geckos, sweets, okay bears. How many are actually paying for Patricia or the other thing? That's also a good point. And really, CryptoPaz, I appreciate the devil's advocate there. So we've given good examples, I think, of where Matrica's powerful clients are. Who are Grape's or GAN's powerful clients? I want to see who you guys think, because I know who they are. I know who I think are the top 3 or 5. But I would love to hear from you guys who you think our top 3 or 5 are. Guys, is this a good exercise? I don't want anybody to feel frustrated or like, ah, this is a waste of time. Look at the,
I think it's
like,
very illuminating. I think it's good.
pause. What do you think?
Yeah, especially since it's on record, or everybody can listen to it. So to get an idea, I think it's good to talk about it.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my top 5. That way I can compare it after to Riptides because he gave a nice 5. Okay, bears and geckos, they're pretty strong. So I have Orca, Marinade, Pith, Lifinity, and Strata. They're different projects than Yaw, Remnants, Geckos, OK Bears, and Sweets. They're completely different projects. I know, maybe there's a reason why Pith or Orca want to be using Grape over Matrica. I know that, some of these reasons might elude public perception, but we know why they're using our product. We know why there's an emoji to click. Some people don't want to have to click an emoji, and other people understand why you have to.
I think we should explain that, Dean, why we have the emoji.
At this point, we've discussed it multiple times. If people want to
Yeah,
look
Billy
at
just got it that last time.
If people want to look at the list of clients and still be like, well, we've got a lot to do to catch up because we didn't get fumble butts, but Grape only has Orca and Pith. What can I say? I won't disagree with you, man. Wish we had fumble butts.
So Marinade did actually upgrade to GAN, or they did get a GAN token? Just asking for a friend.
Was there a question?
Yeah, whether Marinade did get a GAN token. More specifically, Orca and Marinade.
I'm 99% sure. The only reason I'm not answering is because I haven't been doing that lately. It sucks that really the only person that works on GAN here was Legend, and now he's in the audience. I don't know if he's looking into it or not, but I think that's also evidence of why we as our... Hello, can you confirm if Marinade is holding GAN? Yeah, but do we have their wallets or not with GAN in it? That's my question. Check it out. That way you can answer the question because as of 24 hours ago, they did.
Okay, that shouldn't have changed.
Yeah, it shouldn't have changed. And again, I'd like to point out that there are 10 of us on stage, 16 in the audience. Only Legend works with GAN. So we really shouldn't be circling back to, hey, let's discuss verification, unless we want to be part of it. And by virtue of wanting it, we can show that by being involved. It's just, I think it's incorrect for us to be trying to police a group of people that we're not part of. 20 people talking about what GAN should do and how it's not succeeding. And then most people probably didn't even know our client list, right? Even here, I'm like questioning. I'm like, I checked this yesterday. I'm like, fuck, they changed? So really, this is, I hope I've given you guys some thinking or some interesting talking points around. Hey, is Grape losing or winning against certain things? I'll pause here for any questions or comments before I proceed with more of my fact avalanche.
Maybe I can briefly explain why, for example, me, because I'm specifically interested in the GAN not the GAN concept, but Grape access. I wasn't involved. I tried to help out when the GAN change occurred. So I contacted some servers and I tried to help out. But for me, it wasn't and still is not clear how GAN and Grape access fits in all of this. So what we actually can do, we can't do. If there are plans for it, I'm under the impression that there isn't a specific plan. It's just right now as it is, and we need to figure it out and figure out what we want to do with it. But at least in the past, for me, it wasn't clear, and that's one reason why I didn't get involved, to be honest.
Yeah, and look, to be fair, again, like you use the word we. We've already pointed out there's only one here out of 26 of us that works on GAN. So I think it's unfair to say we. I think it's unfair to say there's no plan. I mean, unless you think that Fumblebutts are making a better decision than Pith and Marinade and Orca, like if you think that when they're deciding how they want to protect their server, Fumblebutts is making a better decision than those guys, I think that maybe they do have confidence in a roadmap and a plan and the growth and forward thinking. But again, I'm speculating just because I have a huge amount of admiration for Pith and Orca and Marinade, and I'm not very interested in spending my time with Fumblebutts. And that's correct, Legend. Pith set up Grape Access, I think, was it 5 days ago? It wasn't that long ago. Maybe it was 9 days ago. And they 100% are holding GAN. Yeah, I want everybody to feel like, because it's true. If somebody wants to get interested in something, like today, GAN has its own server, it has its own DAO. And how is it connected to Grape, right? The big mystery. Well, first of all, it's called Grape Access Network, right? And its entire token is backed by Grape. So, like, I don't know, like beyond that, which is such a very tight umbilical cord. I don't know what you're hoping to hear, that the Grand Poobah DAO gets to decide what GAN does. No, like they're their own sub DAO. They can do whatever they want, and we're collectively using the same token. I don't think it's that like complicated. That's why I don't spend a lot of time trying to explain it. Outside of CryptoPause, is anybody else perplexed by the relationship between GAN and Grape? So, from what I understand, part of it was, I don't know. Let me see. You guys can see that.
Six came from the Agility Fund, and then the rest 23 came from great people.
So that was Billy. Was, I assume it was either me, Billy, or Chris. I can tell you for sure it wasn't me. I would go out on a limb and say it wasn't Chris either. Now I don't know. Was there a discussion about it, or did Billy do that? So look, what's great is this: those funds stay there untouched. I think that Legend, you have that question. You should. It's gonna be Billy that you have to direct it to. And this goes back to also, hey, we this wallet with these assets. Maybe this is something the DAO board wants to discuss. There's going to be a lot of this kind of ambiguity with these kind of operations. So one of the things I've put forward that hasn't been discussed at all is how do we move those assets, or who gets control of that asset. That's an easy conversation, a lot easier than trying to figure out compensation and reputation, I can tell you that much. Let's give another 3 minutes to focus on some product stuff, like, hey, Grape is falling behind in DAO stuff. Like, I think what we've done is effectively prove that, at least, well, my opinion is, I look at the facts that I've presented. I think Tribeca is irrelevant. I think Soluminati is irrelevant. Like, not that, like, oh, we have to catch up to them. They're irrelevant. I'm just going back to this talk about, hey, we need to focus on DAO tooling and get back. The ones that were brought up as examples of where we need to catch up or where we need to do better, I think that those two are really weak. And I think Matrica, guys, 100%, they've gained because they're a Web2 operation. They don't have to get on these calls every week and discuss stuff over and over and over again. Okay? There are certain operations they don't have to do, and they've also opted to be a Web2 company. We're Web3. We're taking a harder road because we're also building the road and showing people how to do it. And the fact, by virtue of the people who choose us, makes me feel very confident saying we're doing great and we're winning there. Now, I would love it if CryptoPause took this moment and said, you know what, motherfuckers? I'm going to go over the GAN, and I'm going to make sure every single person that says they're using Grape either uses GAN token or doesn't. And I'm going to make sure that they have to use these features or this feature goes in. But that's up to him. I'm never going to tell him he doesn't have a plan. It's up to him to decide when he wants to do that as a Grape member, as a fellow Grape member. And all of you get that. I'm never going to tell any of you, you don't have a plan. You guys can tell me I don't have a plan. That's fine. I'm doing my plans. You see them. Everybody is allowed to do whatever they want on any of these things. And now look at you putting the marketplace in. These are some very cool tools we have. But before I move on to some other things to really hammer home how far ahead Grape is in the DAO tooling space, because maybe you incorrectly brought up those three, but say you had said like squads or nation or unique. I mean, those are the ones that are part of the conversation, right? That would be a harder thing to discuss. But I want to listen to maybe some other tools or other perspectives before I kind of share more information that I think kind of gets glossed over sometimes. Dinah, is it okay if I continue in this style? Is this productive for everyone?
No, definitely. I think what's being discussed here is crucial because like across the community, you're seeing like these cracks continuously get bigger. The lack
Yeah,
of
and I'd like to add, because we had last Sunday also a call, and we talked about that, or was it Tuesday? I don't remember. But we had like Rider in Red, Godslav DAO, and Riptide, who isn't here any longer. So I'm curious because either the four of us are the only ones who don't really get what we're doing with GAN, for example, or there are more people and they're just saying anything. So I'm wondering.
And I'm wondering why, like, someone who doesn't like involve themselves at all with GAN has so many questions about it, and you have so many questions about it amongst an audience where there's
I'm
only
reading
one,
along in
only
GAN,
one
so
of
that's the
only
only thing
one
I'm
of us,
doing.
only one of us here works on GAN. Like you're holding your GAN questions in a place where less than 5% of us work on that.
Yeah,
And
but
you're one
people
of
should be
those
interested
people I
in it,
know.
right? So either we are this loose
But shouldn't we
collective.
also be interested in the things that we can contribute towards? Like, why are we scared to get our hands dirty and get involved? Like, there's so many things we can work on. And like here, I'm trying to educate, but instead of like educating, what you'd rather do is say, why hasn't GAN, which again, there's only one person here that can talk about GAN. You really want to talk about that instead of me trying to maybe share some information. Whatever way you guys want to spend the time, we'll do it. It's up to you. You're the DAO board. So decide. Either I can continue sharing things that I think are indicative of our success and things that I think you guys are glossing over, or we can sit and talk about GAN or go on with the agenda. You guys let me know.
I'd like to continue and proceed on the productive conversation if that's possible. That's my opinion.
Please continue, Dean.
Yeah, I think Riptide just brought up a really good comment. Should we aim to make public partnerships with these protocols? Strata, Realms, Squads, others. If you guys do a Twitter, go to Twitter and do a search, Grape Strata, or Grape Realms, or Grape Squads. See how many times we're mentioned and tweeted by them. Almost most of their content is about Grape. Every single one of the ones you mentioned. We are the biggest user of Realms. We're the biggest user of Squads. We're the biggest user of Strata. They write articles about the way we use their shit. Like, you know, the fact, should we aim to make public partnerships? They're already public. And I think internally we have a failure. And it might be because, you know, certain topics, they occupy the mind and they reject everything else. But these are very public. And then I implore you to search for Matrica Strata, Matrica Realms, Matrica Squads. And I tell you, I will bet you that it's not going to be that we have 2x more content with those. It'll probably be closer to the scale of 10x. Like, it is redonkulous how dominant we are in the space with these three you mentioned in comparison to Sol Luminati, Matrica, and Tribeca. Like, massive dominance. So much dominance. Like, there anyway. I do want to also point out that we are privileged in being part of Realms deeply. If you go again and you look at the Realms Twitter, you'll see constantly we're involved. That's why we did Athens DAO. It's not because like people came to spend time with us. Mango, Jet, I don't know them all, Unique, Streamflow. They all came to spend time with us, not because we're some rinky-dink Discord bot with no community and no DAO. It's because we're dominating. I will show you. There are 7 members who govern Realms. There are 7 people. 7 wallets are the ones that decide what happens on Realms. You see Sebastian Bohr, who you all know very well. There are 3 other names that are not there. I'm not going to dox those people. It's up to them to do that. But they're basically either working for Solana or they're working for Mango. Then there's Dean. That's me. That's Grape. Then there's Mango again. And Madden Dan, he also works for Solana. I don't see Tribeca. I don't see Matrica. I don't see Soluminati. I don't see anybody else. For some reason, Realms has decided to put me, Grape, involved. If that's
and all these people were in Athens DAO, eh?
If that's not more evidence of how we're dominating the space, I don't know what to say, but let's continue, because it's not just a few things. That's the thing. It's not like, oh, well, but there's this one thing. There's an avalanche of data. Right now, there's only one DAO in all of Solana working in public policy with Utah to make a new framework for DAOs. And that's me working with Sam in a super PAC formation. There's no one else in all of Solana doing that. You guys can see the tweets. You can go find them. And you've seen this before. We're the only ones working with both politicians and lawmakers. That's why I kind of get perplexed, not because like, fine, sometimes people don't realize certain things, that's fine, but when somebody comes along and says these guys are doing better, that's where I'm like, where are you looking? Because again, I'm never going to be able to compete with Fumblebutts. I can't. All of those, Solana Gecko Business and all of those NFTs, guys, I'm not that kind of clown. I'm a different kind of clown. I'm the guy that, I entertain the orca and the pith and the mango, and those are the people. But we need to make sure as a community we don't have to reiterate these things over and over again, because this stuff is going to be discussed again. There's going to be a chat. Somebody's going to come in and say, oh, MetaHelix or whatever. I don't even know what these guys do anymore. Or whoever is doing amazing. They're crushing us. It's not like, at some point, I'm not going to be the person coming out and saying all of the stuff I just listed right now. We as a community should be proud of these things. And maybe you guys didn't know them, but now you do. So now, instead of trying to figure out, why can't I control GAN, why don't we figure out how we can take this information and teach it to our community first and foremost? Because definitely, if our community doesn't know it, outside of Grape, they don't know it. And I can tell you, from my opinion, it is much more important that we internally know this stuff and align on this stuff than trying to understand something that we're not really even a part of. Again, I'm not trying to reject people going and being involved in GAN. I'm not involved in GAN. I'm not. And if I wanted to, I could, but I am more enthusiastic and more interested in other stuff. Everybody has the right to go and get involved. Everybody has the right to go and start their own sub-DAO. But there's a certain point where we're not a nanny state. Either you go and do it, or be, buckle up and be on the ride. But no one's holding you hostage and keeping you away from working on the things you want to work on. I just think that there's better things for us to work on. I think the DAO board could do amazing with focusing on the education of what we just discussed, putting together bounties or documentation that, and making sure diligently, when these misconceptions are thrown around in our server, that they are at the front lines of correcting people. And might I add, the person who started this was considered one of our best researchers. Holy shit, I will not trust that guy's research ever again. I'll take a break.
Still coming back to this idea of loose collection, because actually you're right in saying that everyone can do what they want, that everyone can get involved in what they want, but that specifically that makes
Crypto
it.
Buzz, do you think we've gotten to this position in Solana DAO ecosystem by being loose and not planned? Or do you think that I haven't proven to you sufficiently that we are at the top tier of DAOs, in DAO tooling, in DAO thought leadership, all of the DAO stuff? I want to know if you agree with me that we are at the top of our game there.
I agree that things like changing legislation or something like that, it's important. But is this what we as Grape
No.
want to
You're
focus on, or
escaping
is
the
it
question.
specifically something you?
You're escaping the question. Are we one of the main important characters in DAOs on Solana?
we are recognized, yes. But the important part for me is, and can only talk for me,
No, it's
I
okay.
don't know how we got there. Because
But that's
obviously
fine.
there are.
That's fine. That's fine. The fact that you don't know how we got there is fine. Because if I spend all my time to make sure that everybody that comes into the community knows exactly how we got there, I would never get there. It is important that we're moving constantly. These things I'm saying are all public. Every single thing I'm sharing is public. The fact that people said Tribeca is good, and then all I did was copy paste Saber's most recent proposals is not a good use of my time. And I think you all agree with that. So I understand that you really want to sit down and understand this grand plan. We've gone over it many times. And there's a point where it reaches what Satoshi said. Bro, if you don't get it by now, I'm sorry. I just don't have enough time for you. And I'm sorry that that might be a shitty thing to say, but I've
No, that's
tried.
totally fine. That's totally fine.
I've tried. I think that you've connected the dots, though. You said it. You understand it, that we've gotten somewhere. And by virtue of where we've gone, we obviously are not stumbling along. We're discovering things. People see it. And the thing is, the most important players in the space, Realms, Mango, Streamflow, Jet, Socian, if you look at who they talk about us. And we talk about them because we love their products too. There's a reason why they talk about us and not the people who, for whatever reason, have a public perception of success. That's fine. I am not going to compete in the fumble butts space. I will compete in the top tier space where Solana themselves are working with us. That, I think, is indicative of everything we need. But what I would rather ask you back, and I really hope you'll put effort towards this, is how do we take this moment and encapsulate it so that our community doesn't continuously run around like a hamster trying to relearn the things we've already discussed? We should be proud of this. And if we're not proud of it within our own community, I guarantee you no one outside of it is going to get it. The reason we exist outside of this community is because of the great shit we're doing. The reason Athens DAO existed and the reason they tweet about us and write about us is because of awesome shit we're doing, despite the fact that most of our community doesn't know. Can you imagine how well we would be doing if all of us were cheerleaders and applauding this shit? We would be fucking rocking it. So how do we solve that? That's my question to you, to the DAO board. How do we solve the fact that we should not have to spend time continuously talking about things that are publicly accessible and available? How do we stop having to spend time re-educating the people that we talk to at least twice a week?
Yeah, I'm sorry to say that, but as long as I don't really understand it, I can't cheer for it. I can be proud of what you guys achieved, and maybe I helped a little bit, but I can't convincingly say, okay, guys, I know that this will work. And as long as I can't do that, I'm not good for anyone. I can do like light stuff and support someone who wants to do something, but as long as I don't understand the concept behind it, I can't be of any real help. It's just that easy. Because
you have no idea how much I respect that. It takes a man to say, guys, I'm worthless right now. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. If you are saying
it's an honest answer. You asked,
and I
that's...
appreciate that. So for the rest of the guys on the DAO board, because we're gonna have elections soon, is anybody feel useful in helping take what? Like, I don't want to have to do this again. I don't want to have to spend anybody's time on a Sunday for another DAO board to point out things that are publicly accessible that we've already talked about. So I'm addressing the rest of the DAO board. Do you guys have an idea of how we can escape this hamster wheel of having to re-talk about and re-educate the things that we do core that we're proud of?
Maybe before you guys answer, I have just one more question, because in the last weeks, or possibly weeks, for me it came down to sustainability. And my question would be, is it enough for Grape that we can be proud of what we're doing, that we are recognized? And is it enough? And will we continue like that, even though the treasury will get less and not more by doing what we're doing? Because
My
it
man,
didn't
you've
grow,
done a
right?
great job of completely avoiding my question, and that's fine. I know you can't answer it. You said, Dean, I'm worthless on helping on this thing. Could you please allow the others to give their opinion before you bring in a completely different topic?
For me, it's
Because,
about that.
well, this agenda item that I asked for was for me to educate and to make sure I don't have to do this again. That was explicitly what I wrote. And this is my moment on the agenda, unless Dinah wants to move off. So what I'm asking is, now that I've done the education, what is the idea to make sure the education is endearing? And I'm sorry for like I hope you're not taking this rudely. I hope you're not. It's I don't want to change topics. Let's complete this topic, and then we can talk about enduring revenue and the 100% very important topic. This topic for me is critical because it's my time. It is my time, and I want to make sure that I'm answering these questions. That way, you guys are equipped to now make sure everybody can help make this happen.
So for you, those are not linked. Because for me, those are inherently linked. Because
Oh,
if
of
I
course they're
understand
linked.
how
Of
we,
course they're
yeah,
linked. Even
so
the fact that we all have to eat food is linked. But can we resolve right now? There are 5 people. I asked all 5. You've said, bro, I can't answer this because of your reasons. Awesome. I applauded it. Allow the other 4 to speak first.
If I could just jump in real quick, one thing that I've noticed we have as a vicious cycle is that we have a lot of critique, and when it comes to productivity and execution, we seem to be missing the points on what we can do to help contribute. So the thing I think we need to do as a process change, or at least as a discussion change, is ask more about where we can participate and contribute, and is there a way that we can get that information distilled in a way where somebody who has that knowledge and expertise and vision and is closer to the ranks on moving those things forward, making sure that we're aware of where we can help participate instead of pointing and critiquing. That would be my 2 grapes.
So for me, it really comes down to like everything that we've learned here for this entire hour, nearly hour and a half. I've kept us on the topic personally because I think this is extremely important for not only us here in the audience on stage, but also for the community. Uh, it comes to consistently and properly communicating it more often, um, and simplifying it in a way that the community is able to understand it, whether that is through documentation, Discord, Twitter, Medium. Um, Finding a way to communicate this because I mean you're right. If it's happening here, if it's happening in our Discord, there's a clear miscommunication. Um, and I think it falls to like on us to rectify that, to illuminate the dominance of Grape and convey that message more often than we are doing right now, because we're not doing it often enough if this continuously comes up, and it has been continuously coming up. Those cracks have been getting bigger, and you know, as I said, and it kind of like goes on what Archimedes said, is being more action based. See a problem, the tools are there for us to try to solve it if we so wish.
The thing is, Dinah, that even though someone can argue that we can always communicate things better, which is true, you can always communicate things better in every aspect, in every topic. Where do we stop in circle jerking and keep bringing things up that are publicly accessible, and stop moving forward? Because there's a finite amount of time that we can devote on doing things. There's a finite amount of resources that we can devote. So,
Yep.
what else can we do to communicate better what we have been doing? And it seems that we must have Dean here on a Sunday call to come here and enumerate all these things.
Yeah, but
But
it's
but look,
unfair.
yeah.
It's unfair to put that question to, like, I don't really like the way you're formulating that question to Dynite. It's almost as if you're putting the responsibility on him.
No,
you
it's
know.
not about Dynite.
No, but that's
I'm
how it
addressing
sounds.
everyone.
I know,
So-
but how about what's your idea? Because first of all, Dynite, you've earned my vote for re-election right now. I mean, I love what you just said, but I want to get to a point where the DAO board, or and again, I would not be opposed to the DAO board saying, hey, let's implode the DAO board, and there is no DAO board. I haven't put that proposal forward, but at any rate, I think everybody should be able to communicate what they think is an idea, or a next step to encapsulate the information from this call. A next step is more important than a zoom out of but how do we stop the circle jerk? Dude, the circle jerk's going to continue for centuries. That is humanity. But I think there are probably tangible next steps that can be put in place where, as a collective, we're harnessing this information. Again, there's about 20 people here, 30 people, whatever. When a lot of this shit's set in the server, no one's course correcting. Like, for me, I feel alone sometimes when people are saying shit which is clearly not true. There is a few people that know some stuff, but like, the worst is the people who will just put an emoji or something. Like, bro, say something to the guy. Like, you're equipped. I've equipped you with it. Like, we can only succeed if we're all trying to, and if we're not aligned, that's why we have these kind of calls to get aligned. Now, it's unfortunate, the CryptoPause situation. I thought that some of this information would be illuminating and joyous and helpful. It seems to have just created more confusion in the poor man. At any rate, I think that there are tangible next steps we can put.
For communication, I think it's something we're consistently going to have to balance. And I think when it comes to like investing, when our most important members here stop saying some of the stuff, because I see the points whenever Riptide says some things or CryptoPause says some things, like, I understand the view, and they're the same questions I have. I constantly am trying to see both sides. But I think whenever we have our people here that are prideful and like understand what we are accomplishing here, I think that is the minimum.
I just think that it's important that you guys do that, because it's inevitable, especially since we had a team, right, that had specific communications happening, that we try to make it as transparent as possible, and we had a DAO. Obviously, there would be some friction there for the transfer of information, and since so many things are happening on a community level, it's hard to do that. And from our part, as the team that existed previously, we definitely didn't do a fantastic job in articulating all these things, and the questions that you have been bringing up in the process as community members that came directly from the community have helped us kind of balance this out. But this was inevitable. Now the fact that we hear Dean is doing this and is setting a level playing field in terms of knowledge and information, I think is extremely important. And this kind of sets the groundwork for anybody that believes on what we can build to move forward and not do that perpetual circle jerk to the extent that we've been engaging in. That's what I think. So thanks, Dean, for coming up, because I think this has set us all up to a good start for following discussions.
Jackie, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts is that, yeah, we can continue trying to communicate things better. We can probably be more extrovert in organizing more public talks, public discussions, in order to make way for, not make way, remove misconceptions about what Grape does and why Grape, some may say that is old school and they've gone obsolete and stuff like that. I'm just saying things that some people might argue that others are saying, which I don't believe at all. But yeah, we can be more extrovert and start doing more stuff to the greater public, to educate, to try to educate people, be it with our Gitbook being constantly updated, being with a totally revamped newsletter through the awesome bounty that Pontes posted, more public spaces talks, more talks on Discord, whatever have you.
Yeah, I see the information being an interesting one, and Pontus pointed out, okay, so there's a bounty for the newsletter. Great. So that's how information gets perpetuated. But at the end of the day, the one thing that I keep thinking to myself is, how do I help, right? Where do I position myself? Where can I help contribute? These are questions that I think we all need to be asking as a community, not just as a DAO board, right? Even if there was no DAO board, where in all of these things that are happening right now, if we don't see it, right? If we don't know the answer to that question, where can I position myself? Do I jump into the Discord for GAN in order to be able to participate in GAN? That might be the answer. But the question then becomes, how do I help execute? How do I help produce? How do I help drive those initiatives forward in the places where we're moving those things forward? That's the question that comes to mind, not whether or not we're doing it right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, please.
I find that the people who have the most questions are on the DAO board. Like, you know, Pontus and Pavel-san, who, you know, I work with on Dean's List, they're not sharing these kind of questions. Actually, the only question Pontus has asked me is if I'm going to run for the DAO board. That's the only question he's given me recently. And I told him, you know, I'm not even sure we need a DAO board. Now he's pointing out that some metrics are wrong. At any rate, I find a lot of the questions come from the DAO board. And I think that's, I'm thoroughly convinced we don't need a DAO board now. Like, just by virtue of this conversation, the fact that most of the, I don't know what we're doing and what the roadmap is, it's supposed to, like, the most clarity about what we're doing is supposed to come from the DAO board. And I think that if people are not comfortable saying, hey, let's do this, and usually we'll look somewhere else and say, hey, can you tell me what we're doing, or tell me what the plan is, or tell me what the, like, that's where, you know, the conundrum comes into for a decentralized community, right? Where, you know, we collectively said, okay, the way we're going to get direction is by voting 5 people to be on the DAO board. And then those, you know, a few of those members, if not all of them, then, you know, get on the call and say, well, why aren't we told the plan? Why, you know, why aren't people telling me what's going on? It's either the position, like the DAO board
To be fair,
concept.
Dean, may I interrupt you?
Of course.
Because I find that a bit frustrating right now, because initially we didn't say the DAO board is for direction, for giving directions. And I think it's unfair to expect for people to give direction when in the background there are decisions that those people don't have actually anything to do with, and they can't execute on anything on their own. Because
give me an example of one of those.
The GAN token, easy.
Well, no, you said easy without thinking about that one, my friend, because I am equipped for every conversation now.
Yeah, for me it's easy because I never voted on it. I never said, okay, here's...
Why should you vote for somebody to use a decentralized protocol to create a collective on top of Grape?
Because I was under the impression that this is part of
there's
Grape
no vote there.
DAO.
Anybody can do that. Anybody can do that.
No, Not anybody
Yes.
can do that.
Anybody in the universe can make a token.
Yeah, but
Yep.
those people who can really access the code and can update the code for Grape Access, they can decide whether a GAN token would work or not. I
It was
can
always
create
going to be
a
open source.
CryptoPass token.
This was always going to be open source. It was
Yeah,
put out
but
in our
it
roadmap
wasn't a new
a
project.
long
It was
time
Grape
ago.
that was used.
Wait one second. How long ago did we was this talked about? Because look, if this was last week, I would agree with you. Like, hey, this is a while ago, and that's why we have to talk about it now. Let me see how long ago this has been.
The article was in April, no?
March 15th.
Oh,
So that's
Yeah.
that's
even
3
What about
months
that?
ago.
Yeah.
3 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So 3
it
months
was
ago, the idea was for us to go open source. Are you against us going open source?
no, but there are different ways to going open source. And we never discussed that. It was just made a decision, and the decision was executed. And I was like, okay, now we have a GAN token. And you can't expect
people. Wait one second. The people who worked on Grape are clearly Billy, Kirk, Baba. Like, these are the people who built it, and they then said we want to open source it. They don't have to ask
and
anybody.
okay, that's
They don't
fine.
have to
That's
ask-
fine. You
they
can
never
make
had to ask
make
anybody's permission.
yeah,
we know
yeah,
that.
you can make
You
that
didn't ask this
argument.
question. You didn't ask this question for the last 3 months, but whatever. Well,
Of course
I'll
I
say
did.
that you had
And
amnesia.
I mentioned it several times, but you can make that
Okay,
argument.
But
But
they
if you
these 3 guys made it, and then they released it and made it open source.
yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. And I respect that.
Where should they have asked your permission?
It's not about my permission. It's about the
Where should
permission
they
of
have
the
asked
DAO.
anybody's permission? Why the
It's
DAO?
because
These 3
because
guys
it's
made
part
it
of Grape.
themselves. These
Yeah,
3
but
guys made it themselves.
yeah, but that's the issue. So if we have like someone creating the Grape newsletter and then or something else inside of Grape with the help of other Grape members, and they have the key to it, then they're allowed to go away and use it for whatever they like to. Is it this what you're saying?
Connected. First of all, it's not like this has left the Grape ecosystem. To use it, you have to use Grape.
Yeah. But under my impression, because we want to be decentralized and we want to be a DAO, this should be put up to the DAO's decision, not my personal decision, but the DAO decision. It wasn't,
So it
and that's
sounds
fine.
like what you want to do is you
No,
want to fork. It sounds like you want to fork the open source code and then put the protocol back into a closed source Grape thing, because that would.
No.
Well, that's literally what you're saying. Is hey,
I made a suggestion. We could have done it like you have like everything of the code
There's no we
will
on
be
this
open
one,
source.
bro. Like these 3 people always said that they're going to open source it. It's now open sourced. It's now open
Yeah,
sourced.
but it could
And
have
it's
been
connected
open
to
source
Grape.
after like a period of time, like make it have something proprietary and open source it like 3 months after the fact you introduced a new feature or whatever.
What's great is this: because of decentralization, you can put a proposal forward and say, guys, I want to take the Grape public open source code and us make a proprietary version. You can do that. You have that decision. Yeah. So
but
let's go back to the thing where you said is there are decisions
as soon
you
as
can't
you're
make.
saying those 3 people who worked on the project are able to do what they did, I agree with you. But then you can't at the same time expect of me or everyone or anyone on the DAO board to give direction, because obviously.
Whoa! Wait 1 second. Now you're going to tell me that you guys need to direct me when I go to pee. There are certain things that I do, like when I write. Am I going to go and get everybody's permission for a comma, a period, and a thing? You go write your fucking thing. I'm going to go write my fucking thing. They wrote their code. You go write your code.
Different. That's totally different.
No, it's not totally different. It is ownership and capability. They wrote the code. Then you want them to come and ask your permission. It was never controlled by the DAO.
Not my permission.
And now
okay.
It can be controlled by the DAO.
Then it was a misconception of mine. I really thought that Grape Access would be part of Grape and as such
not part of
under the Grape DAO.
How is it not part of Grape?
May I?
How is it not part of Grape? No. How is it not part of Grape?
Because as soon as other people can decide and not the DAO, it's not part of Grape. It's maybe part of the Grape ecosystem, but not of the Grape DAO.
Well, so like for some reason you think that there has to be centralization throughout, that every decision has to go through a DAO board.
No, not the DAO board.
If you can literally right now convert your Grape into GAN, you
Yeah.
have that ability. No one can stop you. You can even go and take over GAN. You could dominate it if you wanted to. If you really cared on making a decision, no one stops you. You could kill GAN. You could buy all the Grape in the world, have more GAN than anybody
That has
else.
nothing to do with
and
it.
destroy the
That has
treasury.
nothing to do with it.
No, it does. You have all of the, like, it sounds like you want to be able to control people's talent. Like, oh, you know how to write code. Okay, I'm going to tell you what to do now.
It's not about controlling people's talent. They don't do it in a vacuum. They do it in the capacity of being with Grape or in the Grape DAO, right?
So when you write stuff in the Grape chat, right? When you guys were having your German discussion, did you ask my permission to post what you wrote? Why are you doing that in a vacuum? Why can't every single word that comes out of your
that's not the
mouth
same.
go to vote? Why is it different? Because you don't know how to code, but you know how to write?
No, it's not. It's not about what you specifically do. It's the scope you're doing it in, and also whether it is against the project itself or not. Nobody needs to have permission for anything, but if someone in our server talks shit about Grape, for example, then that's obviously not something we should condone, and addressing it is a good thing. It's at least that's my evaluation of the situation. So, but again, that's not the point I'm making.
I fail to see your point, because I think you're trying as much as possible to say, look, I want to tell people what to do.
No, I honestly was under the impression that Grape Access was part of the Grape DAO, so a service provided by Grape, and as such, controlled by the Grape DAO. Because
so it like it is.
Also, it's the same with bounties. If we as a DAO pay someone to do a bounty for a product that we are providing, we use the code, and the code basically belongs to the Grape DAO because the Grape DAO paid for it. And whoever wrote that can't say, okay, well, I wrote it and now it's mine. No, you got paid for it, and it's under control of the Grape DAO.
Right. The Grape DAO didn't pay for Grape verification. Let's, every single fund of the Grape DAO, was not used there. It's
No,
all
but
sitting
you
in
get what I
treasury.
mean, yeah? It's the concept.
No, I think, and first of all, I love you, dude. I love the fact that you and I can have these heated conversations. So it's really I see where you're going with this, in that the Grape DAO should control all of its products, even though,
Right.
and that's where I inherently disagree, in that the beauty about decentralization is the groups can go off and do what is best in their interest, and at any point there can be competing versions of it. So, the way I see it is, the Grape Access people, and I'm going to speak on their behalf, even though I could be completely wrong, right? I'm not part of really, day to day or whatnot with GAN. It seems that they said, look, we can operate this better by doing this. And at that point, they, they continued using Grape, right? It's not like Grape is not related to GAN. The only way you have access to GAN is through Grape. Can we at least agree there that the only way you can use GAN is by using Grape?
Yeah, that's obvious.
I'm glad it's obvious. So it's not outside of Grape's ecosystem, and the only way to use it is like it is a net positive GAN to Grape. These guys said this is a better way for us to operate it. And at any point, anybody else can say, you know what? It's like, Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash. The Bitcoin guys went along and made their GAN, whereas the Bitcoin Cash guys are sitting here and saying, okay, that's not cool. Like,
Yeah, but it wasn't a Bitcoin DAO, right? So I get what you're saying, but I personally think that this is a really dangerous road, because this essentially means that the DAO doesn't own shit except for the treasury. Every service that maybe the DAO paid for, the DAO won't own, because the people actually who provide the service own it and can do whatever they like with it. That's dangerous. I just want to point that out.
so these are the same people. It's not like these are like, like every single person part of all these single sub DAOs is a graper, and they hold Grape and then they convert the Grape into a different holding of Grape. Like, I just need to understand how this is an existential threat or how it's not connected to Grape.
Because people can change and just have like an idea, and they can stay with the Grape ecosystem, but they can just take the service and do whatever they like with it.
Of course, that's
And
decentralization.
yeah,
At any
that's
point,
okay. But
anybody
then
can
the
go off and
DAO
do their
essentially
thing.
doesn't own anything. The only thing, or the only reason why you want to hold Grape and to vote on things is basically what? You don't
Are you
control
forgetting
any
again that, like,
service.
but like, I feel like you're having momentary amnesia because you're like, yeah, I agree. The only way to use GAN is with Grape. So why would I want Grape if all the products are not part of Grape? But every single product needs Grape. Every single one.
Yeah. Maybe it works in the long run. I don't know.
I mean, we've already absorbed over, like, I don't know, 1 point something million Grape using the Strata process. Like, I fail to see how you guys aren't getting excited. Well, not you guys, specifically you. How you're not getting excited about it, because it's been the most successful mechanic for us to have decentralization, compensation, growth, and in a model where this can continue to flourish and go into more and more sub DAOs. And might I point out something? Our own DAO board voted against using Dean's list, undermined it by putting 6 Dean, then start listing how, oh my God, they increased the price 8x arbitrarily. This is useless, even though we had just gotten Hanko on board with Solodex. And guess what? Streamflow comes along and eats the lunch. And still the DAO board feels like they understand this ecosystem and the value of things better than the rest of Solana. There has to be a point at which people kind of step back and say, maybe I'm not looking at this correctly.
I don't think the DAO board said that was outlandish.
It was Ryder in Red, I think. There was somebody who put 8x and 8x, and it was just random, and then the market, and it's like, okay, bro, whatever. Don't worry, we got plenty of people who want it.
Yeah, I think at that time it was no one had paid that, so it was just
No,
like
squads had paid that. Again,
okay.
there's squads that already paid 56. There are too many times where assumptions are being made without the information that's all public. That's what's killing me. That we're in the place of decentralization where there's ultimate transparency, but I guess that's more of a human trait that we will inevitably make assumptions and just jump to certain conclusions. And that's something we're going to learn, is that even though decentralization, and this is a realization I'm having at this moment, even though there's radical transparency, there are still going to be people who are not going to take the steps to get those answers. And again, that's where I got very concerned when I saw researchers making claims about Grape, because I'm like, okay, I understand what's happening. They're not researching. It's impossible to come to those conclusions if you had researched. And it's a lot of stuff. It's difficult. And imagine if day-to-day life you had to research all of the way governments were using things and taxes, and you wouldn't be able to do anything all day. So it's one of those things we're going to need to solve. I want to go back to the conversation a bit, CryptoPos, but first, Hanko, are you still with us?
Yeah, of course, man.
Dude, what do you think of everything? And thank you for
I was
staying
also
on.
wondering this. I was also wondering this.
I
Since he's
I was
one of the latest additions.
yeah, what's up, man? I honestly, CryptoPros, I don't see where you're coming from too much. Like, I understand the concern, but I just don't think that it's. I mean, there's like, if you look at like how banks function and how banks hand out money, like banks, like I think it's a little bit of a stretch to worry in the way that you are. So I don't know. I don't want to mess things up, but it seems like what we have is pretty great, and like Grapes continually led the way as far as like tooling on Solana goes. I think the flow that we have as far as like requesting funds and just the community deciding yes or no. I mean, it seems like a pretty good decentralization and fair way to handle things. Yeah. Again, I don't want to take sides or anything, and obviously, guys have been around longer than I have in this community, so I try not to take a hard stance on anything. But yeah.
Really appreciate the comments. I know it's super hard for people, especially when you hear these levels of passion. And again, I'm a huge fan of yours, CryptoPos. I hope you know that.
I wouldn't discuss such things with you if I wouldn't respect you. So that's the reason I'm doing this that passionately, because I really want to help and be of help. But it would be easy for me just to nod and say, well, okay, they probably will figure it out, and just tag along and take whatever you can get. But that's not the way I work, right? So
yeah, I think because of timing, how about you and I set a time where or right after this or whatever, we'll talk, because I want to be able to
sure.
update my perspective. Like, you're a smart guy. I've loved seeing your passion, and that goes for everybody up here. And Hanko, man, the fact that you even talked with barely being here that long, those I admire your balls, man. So stay here and keep talking.
Yeah,
We're
man.
gonna be
I've been
doing a
listening the
lot of
whole
stuff,
time.
dude. And the shit that me and Hanko is a detective in helping the entire ecosystem. I don't want to, allude to too much, but he is a hero, and I think Hanko, I think you and I work well together. So I'm excited for what we're gonna be able to do for the ecosystem.
Yeah, man. Likewise, I agree on all of those things for sure, and I appreciate the kind words, big time.
So Knight, take us on the agenda, man. Sorry, I've occupied so much time. It's
No, I mean, and like I said, guys, I don't have a monopoly on this. Anyone can always feel free if they wanted to like jump on. I'm gonna guide it the way I see fit, and I thought this was very important for not only ourselves here, but for people who are absent to look back on this. Let's see this agenda. I actually just kind of want to summarize, at least try to, everything that was discussed. Try to put it as simply as I possibly can. When it comes to reviewing the top DAOs and how to assess them, Grape is on that list, consistently on that list, whether you're looking at participation, membership activities, innovation, events held. Grape is up there with the big dogs. Even if when you look at it, especially in the Solana DAOs. Equally important when it comes to verification, because that is again one of the first introductions to verification, to DAO tooling to a majority of the community and the public. The use of GAN token is again up there with important projects when it comes to verification. As well as lastly, when it comes to developing framework within the DAOs, we are one working with politicians and lawmakers and pushing the leadership within the DAO ecosystem. And as I said before, it definitely just falls on us to continuously illuminate these facts and push that narrative forth for not only ourselves, but those who are unaware of it. There are 8 minutes left in this meeting. Let me get back to the.
I think if there's one thing I want us to explore quickly, or as much time is permitted, is the validator proposal for Hanko.
Sure, let's go ahead. I don't think there's anything else we can cover in this amount of time, so.
Yeah, I mean, this is a proposal. Hanko, you can obviously present your proposal, but just to give some context, we've been working with Hanko for quite a while now, just to see how we could find synergies together and basically, yeah, create a synergy between Solidex and Grape, potentially incubate Grape, bring Hanko into our team, so we make him a core contributor. And Hanko has posted a proposal on Discord that he can give a summary to. Yeah, Pontus send it on live chat. So Hanko, if you'd like, and give a short summary of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go ahead and pull up the proposal that I submitted as well. So essentially, guys, my main objective is trying to figure out a fair utility to that kind of keeps things open in the future as things progress and things change. But really just kind of centered upon the idea that, like the Grape DAO is the ship that needs to be going forward, and therefore like that should be the primary recipient of the benefits of the validator. So I propose an 80-20 split. Essentially, 80% of all profits from the validator would go to the Grape DAO, and the Grape DAO would decide how to use those funds. It's just like any other income in a business. And then 20% would be set aside for the Solidex original team, which is myself, Flo, and Priest. Now, the big thing is that the one thing that makes validators different from other revenue and monetization methods is that obviously during the beginning, running a validator is not profitable out of the gate because there's a server cost, and then in addition to that, there's voting fees that are paid with Solana to like run the validator process. So I've been bootstrapping that from day one myself. So in my proposal, you'll see that I asked for a salary. That would cover cover everything to do with the validator as far as server fees, voting fees, and whatnot, and then it would leave a little bit left over for the remaining team, just as like a small salary to keep us going. And then the idea, of course, is that the validator becomes profitable to the point where that salary is it's more like a draw than anything. So like the idea is that like if the validator, once the validator is profitable, the 20% of the profits from the validator, if it's higher than the salary, then we'll just use that instead. So it won't be like a double pay type of thing. The salary is really just there to sustain things until we get to that profitability point. As far as like scaling and potential profits for the validator, we can scale really high. I mean, especially if the price of Solana goes back up, which I'm hopeful that it will. It can be a serious revenue stream for the Grape DAO. And relatively speaking, the ongoing costs are pretty low. So So this is kind of like an ongoing developing thing. I'm obviously open to any and all input. If people have a more congruent way to, figure out like a revenue split or any kind of system that will move us forward in the manner that we're trying to go, which is, like I said in the beginning, like Grape DAO is the ship. We want the ship to go forward. We are all on the ship. In order for us to all be successful, the ship has to keep going forward. So that means that it has to be in Grape's best interest. And on the same token, I just wanted to, I think that like the way that it's set up now, I mean, and people can feel free to disagree. I think that in the current ecosystem and the way that Grape is laid out right now, it would make most sense to have like a one person or like a small access point for the entire Grape DAO. In my proposal, I just suggested that would be me. Like I would be the one running the validator and being the main point of contact for Grape DAO, as far as things like like questions and support and all that kind of stuff. And then of course the managerial side, which is paying the server rent, upgrading, pushing updates, and then obviously jumping online if the Solana network halts again. So yeah, obviously open to any and all questions, but I think that what I laid out is a good starting point. But like I said, I'm more than happy to change things around or change splits, or if anybody has any other suggestions, I'm more than happy to implement those. But I did post that in the proposal section.
So I'd like to be the first to, again, say how amazing it is that you've done this. Would you what I'm thinking is I would want to make your proposal focused on Grape specifically, in that I want you to be a strong member of our community and a strong voice. So what I would want to do is take your proposal and bring it to the Solana Foundation when it comes to the USDC portion, along with whatever SOL requirements we'll need for the validator. Really, I think the foundation is a better deployment for those things, and I think that they would accept it. And then the Grape proposal is specifically, hey, this is now a new person we're bringing in, and the combination of us with you will definitely hammer it home with the foundation. But what I would want to focus your proposal on is, hey, this is someone coming into Grape and saying, I want to be a member here and influential. And I mean, you're already a gorilla, obviously, but I think that there should be some sort of Grape allocation for that work, and an ongoing one to increase your governance power within Grape. And then we together put a proposal to the foundation to handle the what you called a salary. I would call it a grant, but get the grant from the foundation.
I mean, obviously, if it can come from I'm sorry, it can come from the foundation. Like I would be ecstatic for that. So any and all help that I can use from you and anybody else, to kind of leverage your connections, that would be incredible. Definitely.
So that's my viewpoint. I love the proposal.
Quick question.
Sure.
You want to continue?
We can take this, go to the foundation for the USD, and yes, go for it.
Oh, sorry, Dean, you did cut out. Obviously, you were talking.
No, I'm done.
Okay. Hanko, yeah. Do you obviously want to run the validator, and you want to continue running it, right? So do you need more manpower, or is there anything that you need to or we could provide? Because I don't know how long ago I wrote you that, and we had the situation with Solana being down and the delinquent state of the server,
Mhm.
and I
So
quickly checked
yeah,
again. So
you
because
raised a good
obviously we want
point.
to avoid that in the future, right?
Sure, sure. And Dean is a little bit more plugged in. I haven't made an official announcement regarding the performance of the server as of lately, but just to catch everybody up, during the latest network halting, this was right around the time Solana was pushing from 1.9 to 1.10. And myself and pretty much everybody else I know that runs a validator on StackPath has seen a giant drop in performance, to the point where a lot of people aren't even like, I know for a fact, like this server that we have with them now, it's not able to keep up.
Oh,
The
okay.
clock speed isn't high enough to keep up. So, like I said, Dean knows a little bit more about this. I don't want to trash anybody or talk any shit where I don't have to, or it's not necessary. But just know that I'm sitting in front of my computer right now. I have a new server with a new provider that I'm booting up as we speak. And I just haven't made an official announcement about my relationship with the foundation program. I have a call scheduled with them Monday because I brought up some concerning things that I found in the server configuration that they provided me through StackPath. But long story short, it's just the hardware that is being given out right now through the Solana server program. To say it nicely, I think they need to do some retesting and benchmark what was feasible a year ago versus now. But the new server is spec'd out to the max. I mean, it's talking to the provider, they said that the performance wise, we should be in like the top 10% of validator performance. It's the same box that Lane at Stakeways uses, same box that Cognate Crypto uses. And for a while, they were like a top 5 validator out of everybody. So, right now the performance, I'm still in a delinquent state now. I actually have I have a duplicate listing on the blockchain because I'm literally installing the startup scripts now on the new server. So, that's basically what's going on with the performance.
Yeah, that's great to hear, man. Because reliability obviously is key with being a validator.
It's crucial, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. The main thing, and that's mainly, like, rewards are accrue, based off your track record and how good your validator is performing. So it's definitely my top priority, number one concern, 24/7.
How much Solana do you currently have staked at this moment? Has it been consistent still?
I wish more, man. This is one of the things I brought up with the foundation is I lost a lot of stake after the performance degraded. Currently sitting right around 6,000 Solana. The highest I had was around 17,000. And I can't say with any kind of certainty how the call is going to go Monday, but I'm getting the feeling that the foundation might help out with some delegated stake. The verbiage that they used were something along the lines of, like, you've been through so much after so long, like, running a validator. We apologize. We appreciate you bringing this to our attention. So, and then, they were saying something about wanting to make sure that I can get back on the right track moving forward. So I wouldn't be surprised if the foundation helps out with some stake on Monday, but I'll definitely have more insight on that after the call.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because
man,
losing that much is brutal.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm down probably 10 grand in server fees since I started this, and it's been really difficult because I've been doing a lot of troubleshooting lately just because of the degraded performance. I mean, there's a lot of people that are trying to figure this out. And one of the things that I found was the processor that was supposed to be in the server is not exactly what it was supposed to be in the server that I was renting. And it could be a few different things. It could be because they're partitioning virtual machines, but from what I'm showing is the server that I currently have is just not going to work. And I think it's only a matter of time until more stuff comes out around that. Right now, I think there's just a lot of stuff going on in the ecosystem where it's not like a community priority right now, and it's maybe not the most talked about thing. But I would imagine that there's going to be some big changes to the server program moving forward, because the tech that they've been giving out is not adequate anymore where it was maybe a year ago.
Quick question, Henko, if that's okay. As
Yeah,
far as
please.
if the qualifications were to host the server in a different geolocation, right? Let's assume that
Mhm.
that the technicals are sorted out, right? And so the foundation says, hey, we could give you a delegated stake of 50 to 60K SOL or 80 even, if you host the server in some location, some abstract location, or a list of locations. What are your thoughts on that? Is that something you feel is possible?
Yeah, I know that I have quite a few different areas that I can deploy in. The new bare metal provider I have now, and this is literally like new as of this morning. Like I was setting it up when I was listening earlier. This one's based out of Los Angeles, but I know that they have worldwide areas. I know they have a few different countries at least.
Okay.
So as long as
makes
I can
sense.
SSH, yeah, I'm sure that it's fine.
Got it. Cool. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
And that comes back to like the first time we spoke about it when you had mentioned Miami. That was
Yeah.
one of the things that I was thinking about. I was like, you could potentially get the break even off the delegated stake, at least.
Yeah, man. I would love that. Trust me, man. That would be like so insanely good for my pockets.
Yeah.
The good thing with Solana like tanking is that like my voting fees cost less in USD.
Right.
The Solana that's burning in my pocket is worth less, so I guess it doesn't hurt as much. I don't know.
And that's like what 1.2 to 2 SOL a day, something like that.
Yeah, it's around that. Like right now, it's even less because we've been in delinquent state, so it's like they're not even
Yep.
letting us vote. But
Got it.
yeah, it's around that.
And when was your meeting again?
Monday. Well, Monday I'm going to touch base with them on Telegram to set up the call. It could be that the call happens that same day.
Okay. Yeah, looking forward to that update then. Unless anyone else
Yeah,
has
me too.
questions. Sorry.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
Unless anyone else has any questions, I think this is a good time to end it. Sorry, Legend, for not following the agenda. Maybe Scientist Joe has a question. We'll wait for that. And if anything does come up, please, any questions, please go ahead and post them on the proposal that he has currently. Very nice. So those
Yeah.
stats should be future proofed.
Yeah, bro. That processor just came out in March. Like it's about as powerful as you can get right now for a validator.
All right. I think we can go ahead and end the
I
call
just
here.
asked a question on the live chat. Well, even though this is a technical discussion way out of my league, would it be any way that we can factor into our membership an additional perk for staking with Soladex once we hopefully seal this deal? For example, become a great member, a Gorilla or something, and you get more APY while staking on Soladex. Is there something that we can work towards that direction? Which is going to be a great incentive to become a great member and stake with Soladex as well.
I mean, we could do it the other way around, right? Stake at with Soladex and get more membership rewards. But sorry, Hanko.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of different options that we can do. I mean, the main thing is that Grape makes it possible to make those things happen. So those are the types of things that I would love to get from the community, and, you know, especially if Solid ends up becoming a sub DAO of Grape. Like that's the kind of stuff that I want the community to be big on, you know, because Grape is the tooling that makes all of this stuff possible. Where it's like you stake XYZ and you're on tier 4, and that gives you this benefit. Like Grape makes that possible. So I think there's endless options on what we can do for incentives and getting creative with that.
Yeah, having a DAO run the validator would be a huge milestone, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey guys, I also want to give an update. There was a question earlier about how there was a bid to do grape verification on Dean's List, where the grape from Grape Evil came from. That's a proposal that was on Realms, and it was executed from there. So that's how it happened. I mean, it was all executed from Realms. So that grape came from the GAN. I can share the proposal here. So that grape was sent from the Grape Access Network to Grape Evil address, and then it was converted to Dean and put in.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I see the concern, and like maybe, you know, and that's why one of the things as a group we really need to prioritize, I think, what to do with this address. You know, it holds all the NFTs from the NFT Council. It holds some funds from, you know, like this might be a good area for us to focus on in our quest towards more decentralization. Because even I was unsure until I asked Billy now. So
I feel bad for asking, but just to be sure. So the GAN holders can access this wallet on Realms?
no.
So basically,
No.
Okay.
What happened was Billy voted to send the grape from GAN to our wallet, and in this wallet, which you guys know, you know, Chris, me, Billy have access to. He sent it to that wallet and then executed everything from that wallet.
Okay.
But the funds did come from GAN, and that's shown in this proposal. So I think, you know, it like it would be better to use a different wallet, and that's where some of the confusion came from. And in general, we should really start to deprecate either using that wallet or have a new wallet or whatnot, or maybe vote on who runs it. But no funny stuff. There was no funny stuff.
Okay, I see. Destination. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
All right, I guess if that's everything, I think we can go ahead and close up the DAO discussion here. Thanks everyone for attending. Hopefully it was progress in the right direction.
Talk to you guys again on Tuesday.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks a lot.
Right.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.